Going to go ahead and get started. My name is Karen Taylor, and I am the Instruction and Professional Development Staff Person for the California Teachers Association. And today we have our guest presenter, Angela Young. She is an elementary educator, a kindergarten teacher for the California Virtual Academies, and she's one of our union members. So I just want to remind everyone, we have a Schools and Communities First initiative, Prop 15. We need you to help push this ballot and vote for it. This initiative and vote for it. It's going to help close some tax loopholes on the billionaire corporations like Disneyland and Amazon, and help give more money not only to schools, but also our other community organizations. And this webinar is the first of our distance learning support series for the August launch. And hopefully some of you joined us in March. And now we have a webinar series for August and hopefully going forward just to help support you. So Angela is going to be presenting very shortly here, and then I'll be answering any chat on the back end. So our distance learning support is makes up equity, access, agency, and advocacy. We're talking about system support and improvement, hopefully providing some rich content and effective pedagogy for you, and looking at everything through a cultural engagement and social emotional learning lens. And with that, I'm going to let Angela go ahead and start sharing her screen so that you can hear her. And there you go, Angela.
All right, everybody. Hello, good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning. Not good morning, but my name is Angela Young, like she said, and I have been teaching online for 4 years, full-time with our public elementary school. And so I just want to share some things with you that may be useful or just good tips, okay? I am going to try to go a little quick just so I can get to questions. So if there is anything that you want me to elaborate on, please feel free to, do we want to go to question and answer? Do we want to raise hands or whatever?
Yeah, so we have Q&A available and we have 1,000 people online. So do you want me to just stop you, Angela?
Yeah, if we get a whole bunch or if there are a lot of the same questions, I can kind of address it. So I'll try to watch too, but yeah.
Perfect.
And with that, I'm actually going to go off camera. Go ahead, Karen.
I'm not on the closed captioning here, but yeah, Q&A, if you can let them know to do the Q&A for questions.
Okay, yes, please use the Q&A for questions, and then that way we can address them if they're written as well. So my personal preference, I just like to say hello on camera at first, but because of my own distractions, I actually go off. And so that's something that I just want to tell you all as well, that don't be afraid to step off camera, because I know it's important to build your relationships and everything, but if it's more of a distraction for yourself or your students, then it's not important to do all the time, you know? So anyway, back to things to consider. So you guys actually have a gift this year, okay? I actually started in the middle of my school year when I first started. I took over for another teacher, and you know how that is when you're in brick and mortar, maybe as a sub or you've just stepped in for another teacher to give them a break real quick or whatever. You know, it's kind of like, what do I need to do? Whereas from the beginning now, you get to start. So something to consider, you know, to think about your planning, right? How free are you? You know, I've talked to so many teachers since March about just, you know, their admin will say, okay, you have to use this, 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 and this. Or here you go, you know, you have the freedom to pick and choose what you want to use or how you want to go about things. I think it depends on the size of your school and everything else. So what are the admin goals, you know? Some admins are real particular. Some, like I said, give you more freedom. How much time do you need to teach live or have to be recorded? That's important to consider. What is your audience like? So I say audience because you won't always have just students. You'll have grandma, you'll have a mom, you'll have pets, you'll have older brothers and sisters, yeah, right? Because if they're at home, their computer may be in their living room, their bedroom, their bathroom. I've had the gamut of places where school has been done, what is the parent involvement like? Sometimes, you'll have the parents just like in brick and mortar, and you'll have some parents who are against you just because they're frustrated, right? So that's something to kind of consider and to think about. What tools are included, or what's your preference? Maybe everyone keeps talking about Flipgrid and you've used Flipgrid and you're like, nope, not my thing. Well, what can you use instead? Or if you have to use it, how can you learn more to make yourself comfortable or to just be able to function with it, right? So, and then I wanted to share, you see my present up there? I tried 4 times to remove that background. I let it go. And that's what I want you to realize too, that at some point it's important, but move on. It's okay. Nothing about teaching online, just like being in brick and mortar, is perfect. And that's okay. That's, trying to change the slide, see? So everybody's asked me kind of what I do. And so I do teach 15 hours a week live. My curriculum is provided. My PowerPoints and content is not provided. I have to create that. Although I have a team of, let's see, last year it was 26 other kindergarten teachers that I collaborated with. So some people, just like brick and mortar, would share their stuff, and other people not so much. So, and then my groups that I teach live are leveled, both small and large. And then I am also able to adjust curriculum based on need. So for example, without going into specifics, let's say I had a student that, they need to focus on just reading and math because they have services that come to their house, speech or OT or, something. So, I say, okay, well, you're still spending time in school, right? Because those services are part of their schooling and their education. Well, less time with me, maybe okay that way. It depends again on your admin and just what's kind of the gist of what the student needs, right? I use Blackboard and Neuro. My social medias I have to use are Parent Square, collaboration with other teachers, admin, I use Skype, my organization, Excel, PowerPoint, Google Slides, regular pen and paper. It's kind of, just whatever. I mean, some of these things I have to use, like there are Excel documents I have to fill out. And so, again, that depends on your team or your school or your admin or district or whatnot. The curriculum is provided by my school, and I use resources, so many resources. I don't think I've had a year where I don't try something new. So just be open. So yeah. So your plan. So I guess so, okay, they wanted me to come up with something for you guys to kind of put together as you go along, or as you finished kind of put the capstone, not capstone, but to go towards your certificate. So think about the platforms that you have to use. Admin says you must do it this way. You must be on Zoom. You must be on Blackboard. You must be on Schooly, or I don't know. I forget what school, Google Classroom, right? Find out everything you can. There are, and I'm going to get to this a little later, so many resources on Facebook, Instagram. If you don't use social media, there's always Google. There's just a lot of things out there. Social media apps for parents, okay? What can I use to have more contact with parents, to kind of wrangle them so I'm not making just phone calls or just emails? Collaboration with fellow teachers and admin, you know, how do you want to collaborate with them? If you want to collaborate with them, right? Or if you need to. You know, it kind of depends on, again, what your district or admin or whoever, what they want you to do. Organization, how are you going to organize yourself? I've rearranged my office in 4 years. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways. I've kept a couple things here and there, and it's just like your regular classroom. You know, if you're teaching from a brick and mortar classroom because that's the way the admin wants you, you know, how are you going to set it up so that it's, you know, virtual friendly? You know, are you going to make sure your whiteboard's behind you? Are you going to have a green screen? Are you going to have whiteboards that you can carry and move around with you? Manipulatives, etc. You know, it's just like, you know, when you're in brick and mortar, you know, if you're teaching certain grades, you may have different things around the room so that you're able to access them, you know. Same thing at home, or same thing while you're teaching remote or distance learning remotely, virtually. And then what resources are you going to look into? You know, like I said, there are so many out there, and there are no like right ones to use. So yeah, so just think about those things.
Angela,
Okay.
there's a good question.
Yes.
And you'll need to read the question for our
Okay, I'll go to
educators who, I can read it, and then if you can read it for our folks who need closed captioning.
Sure.
It asks, Angela, do you have a room in your house all set up like a classroom?
Okay, so I'm going to give you kind of a two-part answer. So before I worked for the school that I work for, I worked for a Chinese company. And so I was doing classroom at night. So I made the smallest, littlest pop-up classroom that I could with a shower curtain, and I was teaching that way. Now that I've been with my public online school, that's not, I haven't been with the Chinese company for, well, actually for the duration that I've been with this, I got this and I booted that. But I'm not suggesting that, but I said, you know what, I need to set up a space. So I bought a desk. I have a stand-up desk, actually. I have supplies from my brick and mortar classroom that I've integrated and incorporated into my learning. I've gotten rid of a lot of things because I just don't need them. So yeah, you know what, that's something, if I do another webinar, I will take a picture of my desk. I can sort of show you guys right now, but it's not, you're not really gonna see it. You know what I mean? It's kind of also a storage room, a little area for other stuff, you know, so yeah. Yes, this is K through 5, so there is another session for 6th grade, and that would be the secondary. So sorry, I answered another question. I hope that answered your question, though. I'm not sure who it was. So I'm going to go to the next question really quick. It says, where are you getting online subject content from? So, okay, so with that, so my umbrella company is K-12. And so they give the curriculum to my local state school, CAVA, and then CAVA provides it to us. So, but you can, I mean, there are online, I know that back when I was teaching brick and mortar, I subbed for 8 years before I taught brick and mortar, and that was in the early 2000s. And I know that a lot of textbooks were online already, Hood Mifflin and Open Court, and I can't think of the Black Book, the Addison Wesley, right? So just my advice to you is to Google and just, you know, I would type in exactly social studies for 4th grade teaching or teaching materials. And then, you know what, something to consider, a lot of teachers end up putting things online. So even if it's not from the actual company, you may be able to find it, you know, through another teacher. How do you manage with parents who are new to the country and don't speak English? Okay, so I've had tons of students that have not spoke English. I've had from the Hispanic countries to, you know, the Asian, I mean, all over the world. And a lot of these people, you know, I took French in high school, but I have to like figure out kind of what their needs are and what I can do to assist them. So I either get other colleagues to help me. I've used Google Translate. You're on my phone. You know, there's an app where you can point it at something and have it translate for you. You know, there's just a lot of different ways. Now, with the background knowledge about the actual American schools, I would either make a video and explain to them about, and you can use, there's Screencastify, there's Screencast-O-Matic. I would even go through and, you know, show them how, you know, you want things done. You could create a YouTube video. These are all things too that you could kind of just go out and Google, again, Google. What is the name of the app you pointed out, something to translate? I think it's just Google Translate, or it might just be called Translate. I have an Android. What assessment tools? Okay, is K-12 curriculum free? No, it's not. As far as I know, it's not. So now I'm going to answer the question about the differentiated instruction, and then I'm going to move on, okay? So with the assessment tools, so my first year we did it just through PowerPoints. We would meet with kids on Zoom or Skype, and we would do with camera on so that we could watch the kids and how they would answer. We'd look at their face, see if anybody's pointing to them or pointing to the screen. You know, but we'd also use, you know, multiple choice. The K-12 curriculum actually has a lot of assessments built in. But, you know, we were looking at Dibbles. I can't think of the other one we were using. iReady, the iReady, STAR testing, you know, Renaissance. So it all kind of, we've used lots of different things. So, whoa, okay, there's a whole bunch of questions popping up.
Oh yeah, don't worry about the questions. You can keep going and I'll be answering questions. You're good to move on.
Okay. I will totally move on. Okay. So, no, I appreciate it though, and I will get to those, but some of them will be answered. So, okay. So to move forward, sorry. So my thing is you need to brainstorm. Okay. I spend, I think, more time actually thinking and planning than I do actually putting forth my, my teaching. And, you know, with brick and mortar, it's kind of not that way after a while, right? I mean, it does get easier as you go on just because you get used to it, right? But there are lots of things out there that you can utilize to reach out to your families, right? Seesaw, Power School, Remind. I know people that love those. Class Dojo, Nearpod. Those I have never used. Have I had training? Yes. Have I had professional development? Yes. Do I choose to utilize them? No. I used Edmodo when I was in brick and mortar, and I loved every bit of it. My school uses Parent Square, and I'm learning more as I go along. Even Nearpod is something that I know somebody in my school uses with the older kids especially, and she says that it's fantastic. So I guess you've got to, if you have the openness, like your admins or your school or district says, okay, you know what, pick something, or you just have that preference, because sometimes this stuff can corral parents. So you're not emailing constantly. Like I just looked at my roster. I think I have 38 kids. I will speak to all 38 of those families, but not every single day. Like there's no way. I would probably spend hours on end. So whereas I can, and then there's phone apps, you know, to text and not use your real phone number. I also, I didn't put this down. I also use Google, oh, I can't think of the name of it now. Google, I have a Google phone number. So then that way I can turn it off. You know, I don't want people, I mean, they can contact me at 4 a.m. and I know some parents work at 4 a.m, but it will not bother me at 4 a.m. You know what I mean? So that just kind of opens up, like, that way if they want to communicate, great, it's still there, but you're not, you get to choose, you know, you get to choose. So yeah. Platform resources. So like I was talking about, there are lots and lots of resources. So these are actual groups on Facebook. I about these. So Flipgrid Educators, that is the name of a group all about Flipgrid. Teachers using Google Classroom. Again, that's a whole name that you put in, and a lot of these groups I'm part of, and I've watched for more than a year, like maybe several years, and people are awesome on there. Teach with Tech, teachers using Google Suite for education. I don't know what the GEG virtual means, but that's part of the name of the group. Technology tips for techie teachers, you know, and all of these focus, like that last group is more about all types of different tech, whereas the other ones are specific, okay? The Flipgrid and the Google Classroom and stuff like that. I have one more page of it. And these are more groups. I mean, even art teacher resources. And I know I'm mentioning a lot of like early elementary or kindergarten, because that's what I teach. I taught 5th grade before, and I know there are 5th grade groups. There's TK groups, preschool. You just have to kind of write down the words of what you want and then search, and you will find groups. And the bigger the groups, sometimes it's better, because then you find more resources, okay? So art teacher resources, elementary art teachers. B is for Bitmoji. You could get all cutesy with the little characters. Teachers sharing resources. You know, I'm not going to read them all, but even international kindergarten educators. You know, I've talked to a few people in, let's see, Australia, Italy, I think it was Vietnam, somebody, yeah, something like that. And it was totally cool. And then the last group, Teacher Supplies Next to Nothing, is actually more of just a resource for you. It's basically like discounted stuff. And so companies, you know, like let's say they print the pens wrong or something. Well, guess what? They put it up on that site and they sell it for pennies on the dollar so that you can get it cheap or free. And if you have, you know, a small budget, or if you just want, you know, so that could be also a source of resource for you as well. But yeah, so those are all Facebook groups. I didn't even get started on Instagram groups, because there are Instagram groups, there's TikToks out there if you know how to do that. I'm very new to that stuff. Pinterest, you know, pretty much any platform, there are resources. So yeah. Get creative, you know. In my online classroom, I have jobs, I have order, I have cute stuff, you know, and I'm going to show you some of that in a minute. I have managed to still build relationships, you know. A lot of people ask, you know, do you just sit at your desk all day and work? Yes, I do, but I'm also, you know, taping videos. I go out to my backyard, I have a lemon tree. I'll stand in front of it. I'll talk about lemons with my students. You know, isn't it a beautiful day? Look, the sun's out, you know, because weather's a kindergarten thing. But could you do that with 5th graders? Oh, absolutely. Let's pick some lemons. Look, I have 6 lemons. Let's do a math problem. You know, you could get very creative. You know, I have fun things, live cam, sharing, holiday, seasonal themed activities. And I know with some of that stuff, you got to be careful. You know, I've had students who have religious or cultural, you know, they just don't, you know, we don't do the Pledge of Allegiance. We don't celebrate Halloween. Okay, well, how can we still include you? Or you can just kind of sit this part out, and that's okay. You know, you got to kind of just know your learners for that, if that makes sense.
Angela,
Go ahead.
we have a question that was really good. How do you have jobs? Maybe you can give some specifics for people. So like, how do you build some relationships? How do you have jobs? People are asking about that. Like, what do you specifically do?
So I want to say I included some screenshots of that. So I'm going to go forward real quick and see what I have, because I don't remember. Okay, so I did not include jobs like I thought I did. So for example, for jobs, okay, I don't introduce jobs just because I do teach kindergarten until January. But I could see if you had a kind of a higher level class, or you see that students aren't engaged as much, you could probably introduce it from the beginning or a little earlier. So if you're making PowerPoints, You could put a picture. Let's say you have a weather person, okay? So like I have students who are all over California. So you know, you may have students that have rain that don't have that have rain but not sun, or you have some that have snow. Well, you have them come up on the microphone or turn on their camera and point it at their window and say, look, I have rain, or whatever. And you can have different kids every day or every week or every month. Oh, Jojo is our weather guy today. Oh, yay, you could even use a virtual spinner. You could make a little job sheet with paper. You could just pick and go down the line and announce it at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the class. However, you get to kind of choose that. As far as like holiday, seasonal, themed activities, stuff like that, I usually send things out about 2 weeks before. So like, for example, with, well, no, I'm not going to, well, the beginning of the school year, I like to do a poster. So I'll tell the kids, I'll find a poster online, all about me, or I'll tell them what I want on the poster. Tell me about your favorite food. Tell me about your favorite color. Draw a picture of yourself as the job you may want as an older person. I want to be a butterfly someday. Okay, so she draws a picture of herself as a butterfly, and then they scan, email, put in my, the regular mail, send me a picture with their phone. However they want to get it to me, I'm welcome and open to that. And I upload it onto my PowerPoint, or, if it's something that I can hold on to and show on the computer, or if they want to share from their house, they could turn on their camera and go, look at my poster, and they can talk about it. And then you always get, at least in kindergarten, I know when I taught 5th grade, you always get kids who want to respond, right? I like French fries too, but I like mine with fry sauce. I don't like ketchup, whatever it is. And they built that community, It's just like if you were in brick and mortar, right? You play all those kind of corny icebreaker games, right? You can do those online too, Or let's say Thanksgiving's coming up, right? So you're like, or if you didn't want to make it tied to Thanksgiving, maybe you're like fall. Well, here's the leaf, and the leaf doesn't want to get crunched. How can it prevent getting crunched? It can put on a life jacket. Okay, maybe. It can put itself in a box. Okay. A kid can find it and take it home. I don't know. You could get really silly and fun about it. It just kind of depends on what grade you teach, right? I mean, with older kids, you could do other things, right? If we did have sports right now, what sport is your favorite? You could have like a virtual baseball game. I mean, it would take some work, but a lot of teaching online is being creative and adapting and making it just something that is still a great experience. I mean, it's never going to be brick and mortar teaching, but it doesn't have to be. Not one school fits every kid. I've taught public, private, and online, and there isn't one fit. And that's okay. That's a good thing, So if we're all teaching virtually this year, you have kind of this opportunity to take everything that prepared you, your schooling, your experience with work, even when you were going to school as a child, what did you enjoy? What did you get excited about? And take it and make it part of your teaching. That's kind of what I've looked at and tried to do. Like one of the things I'm going to do this year that I haven't done every year is send out welcome cards. So just regular email, or not regular email, regular mail, handwrite, just very simple, like, welcome to our class. I look forward to seeing you. Tell me, or think about, I'm going to just say favorite food because I can't think of something right now, but, your favorite food. And then you can get those kids real excited. And then that first day, oh, I can't wait to tell you about my favorite food, or I got your postcard. And these parents will show you pictures of the postcard on the wall, or a special, they get excited about things. So that's just something to think about as well, like kind of taking it back old school in that sense, using the regular mail, making the phone calls. So yeah. Um, let's see. Okay, so while I plan, again, just the standards in the curriculum, but this year, especially with what's going on in the world, building the relationships is really important. You can still teach, addition and fractions, but you can also incorporate, positive and happy stuff, even if you don't. Oh, I mean, that's why I'll be honest. Sometimes I don't keep my camera on because I'm having a lousy day, and that's okay, but you wouldn't know by my voice. I try to always be so happy sounding in my voice, and I've been crying before while I'm talking, and I think that's okay. Sharing just life.
Hey,
That's what these
Angela,
kids. Yeah.
so what are like one of the specific is there a specific back to school icebreaker that you use that folks
Um,
might like?
I would say making the posters. I've done that with not every year, because last year I decided to go a different way because I didn't think the kids were as engaged, if that made sense. It didn't seem like my group of parents was into it. So instead I said go out to go, and this is before COVID, so go out to your favorite place and make me a 30-second video and just tell me anything about that place. And I mean, I got Disneyland, of course. I got in front of an apple tree. I got a boy with a cow at his farm. I got this little girl on her swing set. And I did mine with my dogs, and I got so many comments about my dogs. uh they love it. They love it. It just bringing that, like I said, that humanity, that life, that you know just relationship to the classroom is really what's going to help you set up the classroom, because you're thinking about what your audience is, not just your students, because you may even get great grandma who doesn't get out because there's nowhere to go, but yet she looks forward to your classes because she's seen her grandchild have a good time and enjoy their learning. And it's something to all kind of take into consideration. Yeah, and just think of the most bare experience, and what you can do to make it the best, for what it is.
So
So,
so we have another
yeah.
question that might be good. And before you get to your next
Okay.
slide, how do you manage all the students at once during a live
Hmm.
session? How do you do that with 30 students? How do they respond to you? And I'm thinking that's good for the
So,
first week of school,
oh,
right?
absolutely. So, okay. So with when and if I ever have all my students in one class, I'll be honest, I have never had, except for my end of the year graduation. And actually, no, even then we had -2 students, because let's be honest, you will not get every student to participate in distance or online or virtual learning. Like I said, you'll have parents who are frustrated and say, forget it, we're going to just do worksheets. You're going to get some who are just like, oh, I forgot, I can't, every excuse. And that's okay. You have to let go of that in some respects. But for the kids that do show up, you can mute them, right? On Zoom, you can mute them. On Blackboard, I know you can mute them. You can leave microphones off. You can control cameras. It's all about learning what platform and how to control or utilize the tools. And that's where looking at your resources comes in. Even on YouTube, there are lots of videos of teachers out there using these different platforms and using these different tools. So even if you were like, I'm more of a visual person, well, okay, look it up. There may be a video out there of somebody who can show you the little ins and outs of things. So Yeah. But yeah, that's how I manage my classes. That I usually start with microphones off, everyone's muted, there's no cameras on. That way they all look at my PowerPoint. You know, that's why I turn my camera off for most of the class, because they don't need to be watching my mouth going up and down, or, oh, look at her thing in the back of her. No, look at what's in front of you, you know? So unless you're teaching live, you know, with the blackboard, with a whiteboard or something, then you want them to look at you. But you know, it's kind of just that, what's um the best tool and the best
Right.
situation for what you're doing at the time, if that makes sense. So I hope that answered it.
Thank you. And I think a few people still had some job, I think
Do you want me to
specific
go back to
jobs.
Q&A? I could do that real quick. um
We have quite a few virtual jobs.
Okay, so the virtual jobs, so I've had attendance as simple as, let's say there's 20 participants, okay? And I've had students who are just sat in front of the computer, no parents with them. Okay, let's repeat after me. John, Shaylee or Shaylee, you know, and have them read the names. Oh, yay, everybody's here today, you know. It just gets them excited, and then they start, even if they never meet Shaylee or Bob or whoever, you know, they still know, oh, he's here or she's here, and those are my friends because they're in school with me, you know, or you know, whatever it is. So if you had you know, like I said, weather, you know, you just kind of circulate your class for that, or whoever the first person to show up is, would you like to be weather, you know, something like that. I've done ball monitor. I have a really cute story about that I probably will tell really quickly, but basically I had a student come in from public school and say my favorite job was being the ball monitor. I said, how can I incorporate the ball monitor so that he feels part of our class? I went into I asked a question of the week, you know, everything from, what's your favorite kind of food, you know, Italian food, Mexican food, Chinese food, whatever, or even, you know, do you prefer rain or do you prefer snow? And then they vote. Well, he was my ball monitor. He would collect the answers and tell me, okay, you know, how many people picked snow? 4. Great. How many people picked rain? 6. Okay, awesome. Oh, 6 plus 4. You know, you could really integrate stuff like that. So my jobs are kind of also part of my teaching. They're not just, you know, go put the stick in the thing, you know. Yeah. So I know somebody's asking more. Okay, so I've also had other jobs. I've had the sharing person. You know, I've had where they, you know, they pick what we're going to share the next week. Something that starts with the letter M. Okay, great. Or, oh, we're going to share types of leaves. Go out to your, you know, somewhere and find a leaf and find out what type of leaf it is and share it with us, you know. So it all kind of depends on what grade and, you know, what your class needs or wants at that point. So yeah, I know I'm talking so fast. I'm so sorry. Luckily there's captions. um, should I go? Okay, let's see. Somebody using Miro or Miro, somebody's asking. I would love tips. Okay, teaching handwriting and pencil grip. I've actually done that. Whereas, okay, so again, it's a PowerPoint. I turn on my video. I show the pictures of my hand. I show of how to do a proper pencil grip. There's also videos on YouTube of, there's actually speech videos too. So if you wanted a particular sound and you didn't want to make your mouth do it, you could find the video of a speech teacher using their mouth. So I'm sure in OT, there's probably people who have made videos of how to put their hands. Now with handwriting, same thing. I just break it down. You know, today we're going to write an A. Okay, write on your paper an A. Or, you know, I've also had them write on the screen, you know, with the tools there. And it takes forever to teach them. But once they learn how to use the tools, they do. And it's awesome. And older kids, you can do that too. You know, they know. Do you have any ideas for special ed preschool? Especially preschool, I do lots and lots of songs, modeling and songs. I do tons of songs. I have songs and videos for almost everything that I teach. If I can't do something, I put on a song or I put on a video and I say, let's do this together. We talk about it afterwards. We talk about it with the parents. You know, there are a lot of things out there for that I think you could use for special ed preschool. You just have to kind of know what you're looking for. But yeah, and there may be a special ed preschool group on like Facebook or something. So
we're good to go to the next slide if you want, Angela.
okay, perfect. I'm sorry.
We won't get all the questions answered today,
I
and that's okay.
know.
No worries.
I'm so
We have
sorry,
more
guys.
elementary workshops this week.
Yes. Okay, so going on. So again, you know, sometimes I teach with a webcam or I make videos. People have asked me, you know, just if it turns right side forward, if I teach from back, you kind of, again, so this is kind of my way of saying, try something on your own before you do it with your students, right? That's something that you don't necessarily have to do in brick and mortar, right? You can just kind of go, let's try this. Well, when you're virtual, you kind of gotta do it beforehand. You gotta do a dress rehearsal, you know? It makes things smoother. So yeah. And that's just a piece of paper, a Ziploc bag, and a file folder and a whiteboard marker. So I didn't, surprisingly enough, I didn't have a whiteboard before. And so that's what I used. So yeah. This is Screencast-O-Matic. I know that Screencastify also exists, so you can make videos. So like, let's say I wanted to make a video of how, so to go back to like people from other countries not being aware of how American schools work, well, maybe you say, you know what, I would like to videotape my screen to show them how, you know, a school works, or this is how my class is going to go. And I saw a question in there about a daily schedule. So I'll go through that really quick. So let's say you wanted to make a daily schedule here. Okay, we'll go to, you know, Word or Paint or PowerPoint or whatever you desire. And you could make a video of you making the schedule and talking about it, you know. So like, for example, I've done 8:30 to 9 o'clock. I do a homeroom or a circle time or some sort of class that just says, hey, everybody, let's do the, you know, the weather, the question of the week, attendance, you know, just kind of more the, I don't want to say the fun stuff, but the kind of, you know what I'm talking about, the business stuff. Then maybe from 9 to 9:30, I'm teaching just reading, you know, I'm going through the curriculum or I'm talking about something. Okay, we're going to go over the alphabet today, or we're going to talk about fraction, or not fractions with reading, but words that, homonyms or something, you know. There you go. You know, whatever you're teaching at that point or whatever you're assigning. So if they're doing worksheets or workbooks or an online curriculum, you could use that live time to not necessarily go through that stuff, but go through the basis of that stuff, you know, and then say, okay, it looks like the students understand this, you know, on screen. They're showing me, or they're telling me homonyms. Okay, well then we don't have to do that anymore. We can move on to synonyms and antonyms, or, you know, the letter Z, or whatever your next thing is. So most of my life teaching is going over general concepts versus specific curriculum. You know, today is 8.2. No, I don't do that. Can you do that? Absolutely. You know, but I level it too. You know, if I have students who are lower, who just need more time on something, you know, I may have them later on. You know, 11:30 are my, I don't know, I make up a fun name. It doesn't have to be like my bluebirds and redbirds, you know, it could be something a lot more creative. So yeah, but you could totally make a video of your screen planning this stuff or showing stuff. And so Screencast-O-Matic and Screencastify are the two that I have used and that I know other people use and like. So yeah. Flipgrid. Flipgrid is, you know, very useful. A lot of people use it for videos. You know, you make a 2-minute video, 1-minute video, something. So if you didn't want to use your phone because you just didn't, you could use your webcam as well to shoot videos, right? But, you know, Flipgrid kind of gives you that little bit of space away from an actual using your phone, okay? You know, you could use, I mean, you guys can probably see the screen, just there are so many different ideas that you can utilize it for. So I'm going to move on just because, but like I told you before, there's a whole group dedicated to Flipgrid on Facebook where you could also ask other people, well, how do you use at-home experiment or Flipgrid for at-home experience? Or how do you use daily video journals, you know, for Flipgrid? Or, you know, and people, I'm sure there's lots and lots of things out there. Comic strips, okay? So there are different, so let's say you're like teaching 4th or 5th grade and you want them to write a little bit, right? You could say, you know what, tell me about something you did over the summer. I know this summer's not the most exciting, but you never know what people did. They could make a comic strip, right? That would be something totally cool that they, uh-oh, I just realized the captions went off. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What do you use?
Sorry about that.
What are you using for comic strips, having the students use?
This particular one is, I want to say it was comic, it's just called comic strips or some, it's, I don't remember the name of it.
Is it a website that they're
It
all able
is
to
a
access?
website. Yes, yes. So all I did to find this, and what I've done before, is I just typed into Google comic strip templates for students, and that's how I found this. So, and when I did teach 5th grade, I actually found a website that it's just not, I haven't used it with kindergarten because I just haven't, I use other things for kindergarten that I wouldn't use for 5th grade and vice versa. But this might be even a fun way. They can draw, you know, especially if you have kids who are very art centered or just enjoy drawing or, you know, whatnot. They may be able to communicate to you their likes or their story or what they do over the summer this way, and you're getting them writing, right? I mean, it's just, you know, just another tool to add to your bag that could make it fun and build that relationship and that time, you know, together. So, and then I just have paint here, good old paint. If it, you know, it still exists on computers, you just type into search and paint, and you can make videos on here of what you're doing on paint, not with paint. You know, so you could use one of the other things. You could talk about different things if you wanted to show the kids how to make an A, or let's make a list of you know, I keep saying homonyms, or you know, whatnot, or you know, let's paste a picture here that, you know, we found, or, you know, it's just, it's kind of an old school, like I said, if you look back old school a little bit, some of the methods are still useful, you know, you just got to adapt it for now. So yeah. And yeah, so then I go back to the relationships a little bit because I think it's so important. You know, an all about me poster for students, a questionnaire for parents, access to CUMES. You know, if you have that, you know, what can you find out about these families? I remember I looked up addresses just to kind of see where all my students were, to give me an idea of who I was kind of dealing with, you know. Because if, you know, somebody who lives in one place and has this or that may be completely different from somebody who may not, you know, and it's, then you kind of know, okay, what can I do to meet their needs, right? There's my welcome postcard or video. I'm probably going to make a video in addition and just say, hey, everybody, I look forward to meeting you in class. You know, please send me a video of you saying hello. And, you know, I even had one student last year that he ran up to the camera. He like put his face against the camera. Hi, and ran off. And it was the funniest thing, you know, but it was still a way to build a relationship with him. Do random team building things, you know, talk about the favorite foods, the characters, you know, if you see that students are just not engaged, hey, everybody, let's take a break for a second and talk about our favorite cartoon character. And, you know, you could get into that. This is a big one. Speak to each parent and student on the phone individually initially. So one time at least. So like I mentioned, I have 38 kids. I am going to call every single one of them, and I'm going to speak to every parent and every student for at least a minute. I'm going to ask them about school. You know, how are they feeling this year? You know, just different things. It's so important to just kind of get, like I found out last year, I had, I think, parents with eight brand new babies in different households. So I knew, okay, if so-and-so had to stay off camera for 20 minutes, it was because little sister was crying. You know, it's just something it's more information. And I do have file folders for each of them so that I'm able to keep track of these things. You know, I can write so-and-so has little sister that's 8 months old, you know, or whatever it is. And then have fun time if you can once in a while. You know, sometimes just like in brick and mortar, you know, you go, okay, you know what, it's 2:00 on a Friday, it's hot, what are we going to do? We're going to watch a movie. You know, you can do the same thing, and you can make it educational. It doesn't have to be, you know, something completely non-educational. You know, you could play letter sounds bingo, you know, and there are apps for playing bingo. There's you know, honestly, all you got to put into Google is free bingo games, free online bingo games, and you will find it. And you can fill in what you want in the squares. You can do it for, I think, up to 30 participants. So maybe if you have more than 30 kids, you could do it maybe in 2 groups or something. But, you know, just background contests, if you're using Zoom or whatnot, you know, everybody make up a background that involves something red. Okay, you know, a lot of this involves parent participation. So that's why I stress to find out if the parents are kind of into this, because, you know, you may, it may be like scraping teeth, okay? It may be really hard, and that's okay too, but then maybe you're not going to get to a lot of this creative stuff. You're just kind of getting it done, and right now that's kind of, that's the basis. You know, yeah. And then make your plan. So to kind of go back to where we were at the beginning, you know, think about everything we've discussed. You know, what do I have to use? Like, what do you already know about? You know, what, think of all those PDs or meetings or Tuesday afternoons, you know, what did you learn about? Like Google Classroom, I remember I went to a 3-day PD. Have I used Google Classroom? Honestly, like twice. That's it, you know, but do I know about it? A little bit, you know, so could I help somebody else? Yeah, but that's not something I use. What are the school admin goals? Like, if you really don't know, like, ask, you know, like what, you know, or sometimes they, what is it? You just kind of do it and then you ask for forgiveness, you know, take a chance, try something new, you know. This year, everybody's kind of just, we're doing what we can. If you do have to do this all year, how can you build relationships? How can you make this the best year that you go to back to your classroom? You know, how can you continue what you were doing here, you know, online or virtually, and transform it into, because that's going to be a different way to transition too, right? If you think about it. What do I as a teacher need to be happy with this? So like me, like I said, I don't like going on camera. I do if I need to, I do when I need to, but do I do it the whole time? No. I know some people who are jazzed and like to do the Blues Clues, you know, and they're on it the whole time. That's great, you know. Do you need sparkly pens? Do you need a special whiteboard? Like, do what you need to be happy, you know, do what you need to be just ready, you know. Cheat sheet, you know, again, just kind of consider it, make a plan, organize. I spelled organize wrong, I just realized. Organize and learn, take advantage of resources, reach out. That's the biggest thing I've learned from teaching 4 years online is reach out. I was that teacher who didn't go into the teacher's lounge. I would kind of keep to myself. You can't do that online. Um, you need to reach out. Like, please reach out. Like, if you're here, that's great because you are learning, you know. Think outside the box, modify activities. Google. You know, there's, like I said, lots and lots of resources. Go to these distance learning support series things. You know, you'll at least hear something that maybe you've never heard or that you've heard a different way. So, but yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if we can take questions for like a minute or if you want to move on, Karen. But yeah.
Yeah, do you have another slide or do you want to answer some
No,
questions?
that's it. This
So,
is my last one.
okay, so I shared some resources for writing in the chat. One is a trading card from readwritethink.org, and you
Oh
could
yeah.
actually use your students do their own trading card for themselves. Because I used to do like a lot of that with my students. So let's talk about some of these questions here, and we'll answer some of the. Oh, we've got 4 minutes left. So
You want me to go to the top one?
yeah, and let me
Okay.
actually, before we leave, let me just answer a few things. Actually, can I take over the sharing screen real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. You know what? I'm going to answer one real quick. It says, how do we get more participation if we have not met? Talk to them on the phone, send them the postcard, send them an email, send them a video, you know, get to know them quickly as much as you can.
Yeah, so we only have a few minutes left, and I took over the sharing screen so I could have the closed captioning. So we had a bunch of questions about the closed captioning. So we're using Google Slides and Google Chrome. Unfortunately, it can't capture both of us talking unless you have a Mac, which I do not, and neither does Angela, but that's helpful. So we also had some questions about certificates. And I'm just looking at the time here. So if you had registered for the webinar, you should have asked for a certificate. I got about 30 questions about that. So if you registered for the webinar and in that registration, you said you wanted a certificate, then you would get one. If you did not, then you would email ipd@cta.org. So Angela, there's a few other questions and
I see them, and you know what? A lot of them are like, you know, handwriting, and then some people are asking me for questions to ask parents. I can make those and send them to you, Karen, and then I don't know if you can send them or share them. But I'd be happy to put together something.
perfect. So a few, let's see. Let
And if
me look
anybody
here.
has anything they want, go ahead and type it into the chat, and I will see what I can do for you.
So someone asked, do all students attend the 15 live hours per week, or do you do
No.
smaller groupings?
No, it's all small groups, and it all depends on their level. If they're kind of a higher level student, they come less. If they're a lower level student, for lack of terms, they come more. Because, you know, it's like pulling them out to your U-shaped table, or it's like, you know, giving them the extra, no, I don't like the word tutoring, but you know what I mean? Like more time. No, they don't attend 15 hours. I'd say most kids attend anywhere from maybe 3 to 4 hours a week, and that's at most. So, oh, I need to be careful with sharing. Okay.
So let's see, another question. So we've answered that one. Thank you. I think that pretty much brings us up to the end. There are other elementary workshops this week. So tomorrow we have building connection and culture. Today was just about setting up for the first week or the first day. So thank you, Angela. Tomorrow we have Drew Warden, and he's a curriculum resource teacher at Westside Union Teachers Association. And if you look, Wednesday it'll be about distance learning pedagogy, tiered engagement at SCL on Friday, and then we'll have culturally relevant pedagogy on Monday. Next Thursday, I got some special ed questions. I will be presenting on special education. We have ELD on Wednesday. We have a lot of different needs, and we know we're not able to make everyone's needs, but we're trying. And so anyways, we have this webinar series for August. You can also get all of our recordings from March. It's on our YouTube channel. Angela, can they contact you for extra info?
Sorry, I put myself on mute because I was typing to these
Yes.
people. Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Because then stuff. So I don't know if you can, like I said, send it out to people.
How
So
can they contact you? What's the best way?
they can email me. I think that's okay. So it's, should I say it?
Yes, say it
Or
and
should I
I'll
put it
type
in
it
the
out.
chat? Okay, it's this is Ms. Bauer at gmail.com. So THISMS period BAUER at gmail.com. I'm young now. Bauer was my maiden name. I don't have a YouTube channel. But I do have, I've done, I was going to say, I've done other webinars. This is actually going to be my 6th webinar, not with CTA, but just in general. And then I've done, you could Google me and probably find all kinds of stuff about distance learning that I've done. So, yeah. But I will put together stuff, list a question for parents, handwriting, song lists. Is there anything else that you see, Karen, real quick?
No, that's it. Thank
Virtual
you.
jobs, I guess I can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you, yeah, virtual jobs, and someone mentioned maybe some, I think it was like questions with parents.
Yeah,
I
I
know
got
I
that down.
use Remind. I like
Oh,
Remind as a
yes.
text message.
People love Remind.
Yeah, I know my daughter's district uses Class Dojo, which is okay, but I
Mm-hmm.
find I get too many
I don't like Dojo.
messages. So anyways, thank you guys. We'll have
Okay.
another
Thanks,
website
guys.
webinar tomorrow. Have a great evening, everybody.
Relax, guys. Relax.
Thanks, Angela.